Pakistan's state-sponsored curriculum locates the nation's ideological birth centuries before 1947. It identifies a foundation poured in the years 712, with the arrival of Islam in the Sindh region. The textbooks center on a 17-year-old named Muhammad bin Qasim. In the official story, he led a desert expedition to India for a single humanitarian purpose: to rescue kidnapped Muslim women from the local authorities. Standing in his way was Maharaja Dahir. He was the last Hindu king of Sindh, and modern curriculum designers cast him as the tyrant whose actions made the Arab invasion a moral necessity. This polarized account gained significant momentum in the late 20th century. Under General Zia ul-Haq, the state revised these histories to forge a singular national identity, presenting Qasim as the archetype of the Pakistani citizen. A complex geopolitical conflict was stripped of its nuance and rebuilt as an origin story, a mythic foundation for a modern nation-state. The primary source for this rescue narrative is the Chachnama, or the Book of Conquest. This record contains a massive chronological gap. While the invasion took place in 712, the Chachnama was compiled 5 centuries later, in 1216, drawing heavily from oral traditions that had circulated for generations. Moving past the romantic fiction of the 13th century reveals the cold economic realities that actually drove the 8th century invasion. By the early 700s, the expanding Umayyad Caliphate's borders reached western India after several failed Sindh campaigns. The actual catalyst was economic. Sindh-based pirates intercepted lucrative shipping routes from Sri Lanka to the Middle East, threatening Caliphate maritime trade. There was also a strategic political tension. Maharaja Dahir provided political asylum to the Caliphate's enemies, including rebel factions and refugees fleeing from within Arab lands. Historical records present a different image of Maharaja Dahir. He was a Brahmin ruler overseeing a pluralistic society, patronizing Sanskrit and maintaining diverse cultural centers. The Umayyad campaign functioned as a calculated military strike. By neutralizing a strategic rival and securing trade routes, the Caliphate achieved the geopolitical goals that had eluded them for decades. The governor of Iraq, al-Hajjaj, dispatched his nephew, Muhammad bin Qasim, with thousands of Syrian cavalrymen and heavy siege weapons. Qasim secured his advance by exploiting local divisions. He successfully co-opted local Buddhist factions, who felt marginalized under the Brahmin ruling dynasty. As the Arab forces approached, Dahir's vizier suggested fleeing to find shelter with neighboring Indian kings. Dahir refused, positioning his army as the defensive wall between the Caliphate and the rest of the subcontinent. The two forces met at the Battle of Arar. Internal betrayals reportedly gave the Arab forces an opening, leading to a fatal arrow strike that destroyed Dahir's chariot. Dahir fell on the battlefield. His cities were annexed, his head was shipped to Iraq as a trophy, and the archaeological record of Sindh's settlements began a new imperial chapter. The fall of Arar ended the Chach dynasty and established the first permanent Umayyad foothold in India. Following the conquest, Dahir's daughters, Surya Devi and Pramala Devi, were captured. They were sent to Baghdad as spoils of war for the caliph's harem. When they met the caliph, the daughters claimed that Muhammad bin Qasim had already violated them during the long journey, a claim that deeply insulted the caliph's honor. The caliph responded with a brutal decree. He ordered Muhammad bin Qasim to be sewn into a raw cow's hide, where the general suffocated to death during the return journey to Baghdad. After the execution, the daughters confessed their lie. They had orchestrated the death of the general to avenge their father, knowing the confession would ensure their own executions. The historical Qasim was executed in disgrace. Yet, in modern Pakistan, he has been resurrected as a flawless hero who arrived to bring justice to the region. State-sponsored history relies on these narratives to justify modern power structures. By framing medieval conquerors as saviors, modern military leaders can present their own rule as a continuation of a historical mandate. This revision leaves Maharaja Dahir in a state of historical limbo, a villain in the textbooks, yet still honored by Sindhi nationalists as a defender of the soil. The systematic erasure of Dahir's defense illustrates exactly how a state curates its past to cement a specific national identity. In these official records, a local king is completely forgotten to ensure a modern ideology can claim an ancient origin.